on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G. Brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. St. Joseph Health, the leading healthcare provider in the Brazos Valley and official healthcare provider of Texas A&M Athletics. And by The Pool Guide, a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Now, the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 172nd edition of the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis. Glad you made it out, and it has been a gorgeous day here in Bryan College Station, which makes it a good day to eat barbecue at Rudy's. Come on over here, Harvey Road. Rudy's Barbecue is the best in town. You're not going to find anything better. All right, and then before I forget, I need to be sure and thank Kevin Minshew over here running the board.
That's right.
To my right, and Adam Cheveria back at the station. It takes a village to keep Coach G and I on the air, and fortunately they are skilled in that particular.
Yes, they are, and we appreciate it. We appreciate everyone for being here, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about we had two games last week. Auburn, the fifth-ranked Auburn Tigers came in on Thursday. The Aggies just, I think, played their most complete game of the season, defeated them convincingly 4-1. And then we went over to Austin to take, as you call them, our friends in the state capitol, I think.
I coined that from Bill Byrne, I think.
Yeah, usually not that gracious. But at any rate, they ended up getting up on us 2-0 in the first half, and that's the way it ended. So 1-1 on the week. But let's talk about those games. Let's start with Auburn again. I thought it was the very best performance that the Aggies have been able to put together all year.
Yeah, it was a game that I was proud of the way that our players went in with we talked about wanting to go in and win our duels, win our individual matchups, and across the board, I think all of our players did an outstanding job. Auburn, one of the more athletic teams in the country, and as a team that really going into the match, they'd only given up 2 goals all season.
Exactly.
And
yes.
Outstanding defense, outstanding goalkeeper, very athletic coming forward, averaging over 3 goals a game, coming into the match, and and they play on one of the biggest fields in the country, a field a little bit larger than ours, and one that they're very explosive in the way that they go forward. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to try to condense spaces, keep the game in check as much as we possibly could. And so a lot of what we wanted to be able to do was to be able to, number one, keep the ball and make them have to defend us. And I thought that by and large, our midfield was going to be key in how the game was going to be either controlled or played out of control. And I thought that Sydney Massera was outstanding. But, even as much as that, I thought Grace Ivey had just an outstanding game.
She really, really did.
Stepped into the match and really was one of the real stars of the game, and same thing with Taylor Pounds in the middle of the match. So those 3 players really terrific games, but across the board some awesome performances.
Let me kind of update you, those of you who were there, or maybe were listening to or watching the game on the SEC network or listening to our radio broadcast. There was a heck of a collision there in the first half that involved Taylor Pounds. The Aggies' Taylor Pounds and Maddie Prohaska, the goalkeeper for Auburn. And Prohaska, as tough as Taylor is, she was there down for a couple of minutes and got up and played the rest of the game pretty much, I think. And
Prohaska, she went out after a little bit.
No. I was talking about Taylor being as tough as she is. She played the rest of the game. But then Prohaska was slow to get up. She stayed in for just a little bit, but then had to come out for the rest of the game. And it was eventually taken off to get some medical attention via ambulance. I want to let you know that she is fine, and she played 90 minutes on Sunday.
Yeah, so had a good game, had a shutout on Sunday. So she ended up being fine. And same thing. Taylor Pounds played better part of 90 minutes on Sunday as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Great game for us in a lot of ways. Scored goals in a variety of ways in transition. Scored goals in set pieces, and but like I said, I think that you look at the way that we were able to play, the way we were able to play without the ball, with the ball, and pretty complete performance.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Sidney Becerra had 2 goals for the Aggies, had the brace. Macy Matula as well at the very start of the second half off of a corner kick, and then Grace Ivy in the 67th minute for the Aggies. So and the thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that we were up 3-0, and then Auburn scored a goal. Becky Contreras scored, and Annie Haddock got the assist. But so that made it 3-1. The Aggies, that was in the 83rd minute. But a couple of minutes later, bang, Becerra again, and that took whatever hope that Auburn has, faint though it may be at that particular time, just crushed it. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, and it scored, down a player. Scored.
Yeah, I didn't mention that
because we had unfortunately 2 yellow cards against Bella James, and so we had to play down a player. And so we're trying to, we're just kind of trying to manage the last part of the match and kind of going and kind of delaying time and going to the corners, and they overplayed us going to the corners, and that's when Sidney kind of wiggled out of that space, played a ball over to Micaiah. You're going to the other side, and then Micaiah one-timed it back to Sidney in front of goal, and Sidney kind of put it into the space that got rebounded into the goal. So kind of a cool way to finish it off. So really pleased for the way the game went. Good performance in goal by our freshman goalkeeper again. With Sidney Fuller getting the win in there. And then, but then as well as we played there, we had a poor first half over in Austin, but a good second half. And unfortunately, we had already spotted them 2 goals by that time, and we didn't get the win against the Longhorns. And so, it's 3 straight losses on Sundays for us, which is concerning. Good news is we don't play on Sunday this week, so because we've got 6 straight wins on Thursdays. So. When we have time to prepare, when we have time to recover from our weekend game, and we have a little bit more time to recover, and we have a little bit more time to prepare for a match, we always win that next match.
Right.
And that's what we have this week coming up with our game against Ole Miss. So I feel good about how we can prepare and how the team can get ready for those games. It's the short recovery and game on the Sunday that and again, good opponents too, because playing in the SEC that we've struggled with, losing on the Sunday to Oklahoma, losing on the Sunday to Texas, and then losing on that Sunday up in Connecticut to UConn. So we've got to solve that, but by and large, it's right now we're tied for 5th in the SEC. We're still in good contention right now for postseason play in the NCAA's, but because we've got some good wins, but we still have got to.
We still have work to do.
We still got some good work to do with some high ranked teams ahead of us.
You talked about the difference between the first half and the second half in Austin. The second half, you never know, but I'm pretty well convinced that had we played the first half like we played the second half, worst we would have gotten probably is a draw. I thought we. You look at the stats. We outshot them 11-6 in the second half. Outshot them for the game 15-13, and I thought particularly in the first 15-20 minutes or so of that second half, we really had a decisive advantage in the run of play. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but same thing that happened with us in the game against Oklahoma. We had a poor first half, and second half we were all over them, but didn't take care of business, and that's 2 games that we kind of came out of there shaking our heads like, how the heck we lose that game?
Right.
And those are games that unfortunately you'll learn from them, that they're the coulda shouldas.
Yeah. Now, at the last time we gathered here last Tuesday, we talked about the opportunities in front of the Aggies, and those still exist. You look at the RPI, which just came out here. This is the RPI that contains all the games through Sunday, so it is the most up-to-date RPI. You look at it, of the top 20 teams in the country, 4 of them are SEC schools, and We get to play 3 of them. We already played one, and we beat that team. So we beat Auburn. We've got 2 more opportunities against Arkansas and Mississippi State. Arkansas ranked 3rd in RPI. Mississippi State ranked 5th. We get one of those games, Mississippi State, here at home.
Right. That's the last regular season game. That'll be senior night.
So there's huge opportunities yet still in front for the Aggies. And again, the one opportunity we've had to take on a top 20 RPI team was the Auburn Tigers, and we beat them 4-1. So the team rose to the challenge last week to in an important game. And it's still the only game that Auburn has lost. They're 10-1-1 on the season, and that second one belongs to the Aggies.
That's right. So again, all to play for, and the good news is we're still healthy, and we have the opportunity again this week. We'll head to back over to the Magnolia State to play the Ole Miss Rebels on Friday night.
I wanted to ask you about scheduling. This is we've played Thursday and Sunday now. 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
4 weeks in a row.
And I mean that, and this time of year, it is hot still, and that takes a toll on you. And of course, in conference play, everybody's doing that. It's just not Texas A&M. This is that week that's scheduled into the conference schedule where all of the teams now play one game.
Right.
To me, I think that's huge, and I think in a lot of ways for the quality of the competition, but also from an injury prevention perspective, it seems like to me.
Right. Well, actually, the way that the schedule was initially put together, the first weekend of the season was going to be a single game weekend. So the first weekend of the season when we played Mizzou and we played Oklahoma, that was going to be a single game weekend. But because we changed up a few things with the SEC tournament, they moved a game to the first weekend and made it a double game weekend. So that kind of changed up a few things in the way that kind of the way everything laid out. And so if I had a little bit more time to prepare, I don't know that I would have gone a double before that weekend, if that makes sense.
No, because you did the non-conference schedule thinking that it was going to be the first weekend was going to be
correct.
And plus we did that on the road too, up in Connecticut.
Correct. So it just kind of made it to where it's like, okay, here it's just we're kind of piling on a little bit more than I would have liked to have done. So it's out of our that was something that was a little bit out of our control late in the year. So. But now the way it works is we're going to go a single game this time around. Then we're going to go double next week. So next week will be home against Vanderbilt and then at Alabama. Not an easy week at all because again it's SEC anyway. And then it'll be a single the next time when we'll play a single game on Friday night against LSU.
Right.
That's on the 10th, I believe.
That's correct.
That'll be family night. I think they're already starting to do promotions.
No, the 10th that's Vanderbilt.
My apologies. It's going to be the 18th against the Tigers. And they're already doing promotions for that. I see on social media. And then we'll finish with the double, which will be Thursday in Vietnam, and then we'll come home to play on the Sunday against Mississippi State. Yeah. That's how the regular season will end. So it's a heck of a tough run.
Yes, it is.
But it'll be, it goes double single. To finish it off.
That's helpful. But playing in those games, that's why you play any sport at this level is to play in those kind of games. If you don't want to, you shouldn't be here. And that's what the way that I look at it. And let's ask. Speaking of scheduling, last week we had 2 games postponed because of Hurricane Helene. South Carolina at Georgia and Tennessee at Florida.
Right.
What's any talk about how they're going to make those up, if they're going to make those up?
Well, it's my understanding, and I have not seen anything. It doesn't mean it's not out there, but it's my understanding that those games will probably be made up in one of these open Sundays.
Okay.
Whether it's this open Sunday or the following open Sunday, that's the logical time that those games will be made up. Now, if those games are not made up, then what will happen is they'll go to a different type of format for the way that things will be decided in the way the SEC tournament will be decided.
Yeah, I looked at that formula, and you figure out how many points per win that you get, and I think you divide by pi in there somewhere. I can't remember exactly how it is,
but something about chicken soup in the summer or something along those lines.
Somewhere along in there, yeah. But anyway, it goes to this mathematical formula.
Yep.
All right, we'll worry about that later. We're going to take a quick break. And by the way, I want to remind you of a couple of things. In the next segment, we're going to have Kate Colvin and Reese Rupe up here. In the segment after that, we're going to have assistant coach Seth Taylor. And on the tables, there are cards and pencils if you want to bring a question up to either one of the players or to Seth, and particularly for the players, if you anything you know.
They're really good at math. If you guys have math questions, you could ask those questions.
That's right. And if you know anything embarrassing, be sure and write it down and bring it up here. I'll be sure and ask it.
Yep.
So, all right, that's going to be. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G. All righty, we are back. The Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. We are joined by two of our players. We've got, to my immediate left, actually academically a sophomore, but because she redshirted last year due to an ACL injury, she still has, this is just her first year of eligibility, so she's a redshirt freshman from that perspective. And this is Reese Rupe from Grand Oaks High School in Spring, Texas. So welcome, Reese. Yeah. And then on her left is Kate Colvin. Okay, she's been here about 15 years. Where's number 2 for Texas A&M? She's a graduate student right now at Texas A&M. Both of these players, Coach G and I like to brag on the academic prowess of our soccer team because they are
really smart.
They really, really are. And these are two great examples. Reese was SEC first-year honor roll last year, and Kate was fall SEC academic honor roll in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and I'm sure will be again this year. So, and also won the Iron Aggie Award in 2022, and she won the Assist Leader Award in 2022 as well. All right, Kate, first of all, I'll ask you the first question. I heard that you landed a permanent employment. Is that right? You got a job.
Yes.
All right, what kind of job?
It's a job in consulting. So it's kind of just like helping businesses solve their problems, and you get to travel a lot, so I'm excited.
So she went through a pretty rigorous interview process. Do you want to tell them about how that went?
So I had my first round interview while we were in Connecticut, and I had to kick my roommate out of the hotel room to do 2-hour Zoom interviews. I made it through, and then this last Friday.
And now you weren't in your soccer uniform though, right?
No. I had to explain. I was a little stressed getting back from practice and a team lunch that I wouldn't have time. But last Friday I had to tell the coaches that I wouldn't be at practice and went through 3 more hour-long interviews with partners from the firm, and landed the job. So super
Congratulations.
excited.
Congratulations.
Yep.
And I'm
Big
sure
time.
your parents who are here tonight are very happy you're going off the payroll.
Yes.
You know? That was one of the great days of my life when we had our third kid go off of the payroll. It was like getting an incredible raise. And I mean, it was wonderful. So also, I have one other question for you, and then we're going to pick on Reese just a little bit. But I was informed by your dad, as a matter of fact. He reminded me that the last time you were on, it was you and Barb, right? You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And I asked y'all something about the worst habit that the roommate had. Y'all were roommates. And she said that the worst thing that you did, the biggest thing that she had a gripe about, was that you never, ever took out the trash. Is that still the case? Are you still like that?
I'm happy to say I've gotten better, and I do take it out occasionally.
Fantastic. I'm proud of you. I really am. That's very, very good. All right, Reese, you have now, it has been fun to watch you play. Every game, you're getting to the point where you're out there every game and making really positive contributions. When you get out there, you bring a different energy level.
Thank you.
It's fun to watch you play, and I'm wondering, has that kind of been one of the hallmarks of your game, you think, during your soccer career?
I mean, I really just enjoy it. I try to go out, work for the team, and I think it's fun to go out there, and I love playing for Aggie Soccer, so can't love it.
And I want to tell you something. A lot of times we talked about Reese being having ACL injury and not being able to play last year. And Coach G was telling me about this. You know, you may have the impression, kind of like I did, okay, they're out for the year and they're not going to really be able to play. They're not going to be able to practice, so on and so forth. Turns out that Reese, along with Bella James, who was also out, I mean, they ended up being a couple of the very key recruiters in terms of bringing players in to play at Texas A&M.
Yeah, so whenever we bring, whenever we have recruits on campus for visits, high school kids or transfers or whatever, it's important for us to, that we want them to be around the players. And so we want to make sure that they're with, nice people. Of course, all of our players are very nice, but, we want to make sure that they're with outgoing, friendly, smiling faces. And, and Reese and Bella were, we're always very, very, very happy to be out in front, and did an awesome job with anyone who those two were with. We're always like, yeah, we want to come. This is a team we want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it was great.
What was your spiel to convince people to come here?
It's the best school ever. I mean, you literally cannot go to a better school. And me and Bella honestly enjoyed hosting the girls so much, and just made it like a big slumber party, show them the best things you can about College Station. We're like, hey, there might not be a lot to do, but the people make it, and we try to be the people that made it. And I loved all the girls who came through and all the ones who committed.
So you probably know this, but in case you don't, Reese is in a unique position among all Aggie soccer players and probably all athletes at Texas A&M, maybe not just this year, but maybe for all years, in the sense that both her mom and dad are members of the Texas A&M Athletic Hall of Fame. That's pretty big deal, and and which is one of the reasons that Coach G gave you number 12.
Yes, sir.
Does that? I know you're proud of it, but is that something that you does it put pressure on you? Do you feel like?
I don't think it puts pressure on me. I think it's just such a cool standard to be able to live up to.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, they never put expectations on me, and I chose to play soccer and chose to play this sport.
Right.
And it's just, I have two great parents to look for as mentors.
And your mom, at that time, Bren Blaylock, All-American at Texas A&M. She was Bren your first All-American here at A&M?
Probably. I mean, she was, huge star. She was our leading scorer forever until Ashley Pistorius came along. And, for Ashley to break Breno's record on scoring was, pretty amazing. So, Bren was one of the leaders who helped us to win our first championship, and kind of helped us to our first NCAA tournament and everything else. So, huge part of kind of getting A&M onto the regional and national scene. So big part of building the program.
So Reese, could you just hypothetically? Could you have gone anywhere else other than Texas A&M, even if you wanted to?
I think it would have been challenging, for sure. Yeah. Definitely. My parents would have supported me, but I would have known what I was missing out on, so that's what was hard.
Well, that's kind of like, I told our kids that they could go to school anywhere they wanted to. If they wanted us to pay for it, they could come to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And that worked out real well for everybody. All right, Kate, I've got to, you had to sit out. Well, you missed a lot of the games last year. You played in 11, but you missed a good portion of the second half of the season, and then games early on. And then, of course, Reese missed all of last year because of ACL. How do you stay involved in the team and be a part of the team and make a positive contribution when you can't get out there on the field?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy because those are my best friends, those are my roommates. So I find myself naturally just cheering them on, even off the field, and even if I'm on the side, I'm still fully bought into the team, and I want to see them win more than anything. So just being an encourager, I think, has been a big role for me, and I think that's helped me too when I get on the field, already be in the mindset of that team first attitude, kind of translating.
And also, you come obviously as a senior last year and a grad student this year, when you had to miss some games early in this season, I mean, you're on the sideline looking at the game, but you're also a person looking at the sideline, on the sideline with 3-4 years of experience, right? I mean, are you able to take players aside and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, or what you need to do this, X, Y, Z? Is that something you do?
Yeah, I feel like whether it's whenever they come off or honestly, just being on the side, whatever the near side, winger, outside back, just coaching them and, cheering them on, I think helps a lot. What I remember whenever I was, playing the bench, whatever they say, the encouragement, or just telling them who to find, I think is really beneficial. So I try to be that person.
Yeah,
kind of.
absolutely.
Side.
Reese, for you had to sit out the entire year, which is really, really tough. And you can't practice. You're recovering from the injury, doing rehab. A lot of times doing rehab by yourself, which is hard to do. I mean, it's hard to stay focused and put in the effort that you need to put it in. And I asked you last year when you were on the show about what it was going to feel like the first time you stepped on Ellis Field in a game. Did it live up to what you thought it was going to be?
It really did. It was a surreal experience. Just to hear my name, number 12 after it, was just such a cool opportunity. I couldn't help but smile.
I can imagine. So, G, we got just a couple of minutes left here. I wanted to ask you now, what it was about each one of these players that said we've got to have her here at Texas A&M. Now I know in cases. In Kate's case, that was like say 10, 12 years ago. But what what was it that made you think we've got to get her here?
Well, for both of them, athleticism is a big part of what we look for. We look for players who can change games. We look for players who are going to be game changers in their ability to step on the field. Typically, when we go to a tournament, a club tournament, we're looking for who's the best player in the tournament. We want to know who is the player who's kind of turning heads, who's the player who's scoring goals, who's scoring on restarts, who's scoring in the flow of the game. And these are players that would always be doing that. Reese is someone who would score a lot of goals on free kicks. We would see Reese is someone who would score a lot of times in situations where it came down to physicality. And same thing with Kate. Kate was always a very good one-on-one artist, and Kate actually had committed to a different school and then changed her mind to come to A&M. But both of them just kind of talked about how when they're not playing, they're still all in for the team, and that's actually kind of rare. Is that a lot of times you see when players aren't playing, they're moping and they're more about just the me and woe is me, and that body language oftentimes is something that translates onto the rest of the team, and that's something that we also see, and that's not what you see from these guys, and that's something that we're also looking for, is someone that is going to bring positivity and someone that's going to bring a team first attitude to into the program, and it's a really important component that we're always looking for.
Okay, before we go to break, let me ask you, what's your nickname on the team?
Mine is just Cater. I don't know why. It's just an R added to my name.
No, that's not it.
Well, it used to be Wreck-It Ralph, because she would like
that
run
was
through.
about 2 years ago.
But that was like in the past decade when she was like a freshman and stuff like that,
And then I told you last year, I called you Crash Colvin. That was the other thing, because you just went in there and things stared flying every which direction. So
yeah, she's much more under control now that she's close to 30. So
you didn't realize it was going to be this bad, did you?
When's the commercial?
All right, okay. Your Reese, your nickname on the team. Do you have one?
No, I'm a nickname giver. I don't have a nickname. Just Reese.
We got to work on that.
Thank you.
There's a lot of potential there. Okay, let's see. I had questions. G.
Wait, we got one right here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What do we got here? Both players. How did you get paired up with one another as your roommate? Or are you roommates?
We are not roommates, unfortunately. But I do take out the trash, so we would have been really good roommates.
Yeah, somebody needs to do it. Okay. That's going to about do it for these ladies. And again, thank you so much for coming by. You see again why why they're such great representatives of Texas A&M soccer, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Reese, Rupe, and Kate Colvin, everybody. All right, we're going to take another quick break. Oh, wait, Reese, please put your thing back on. You got to read this commercial.
Oh, I got
here.
y'all.
Yeah.
Go. The 12th Man Foundation is the official fundraising organization and ticket provider for Texas A&M athletics. Support a 75-year legacy and help shape the future of Aggie athletics by donating today at 12thmanfoundation.com.
All right, Reese, nice job.
Excellent. Well done.
Now we're going to break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour. All righty, we are back at Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. It's the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis, and alongside, on my immediate left, is assistant coach Seth Taylor. And Seth, you know, we have been much more successful this year, I think, than in some years past on set pieces, restarts, that sort of thing. And the guy to my left is a big reason for that. He has really worked with the team on that particular idea. I don't want to get him to talk about that, but also what he does during the course of the game. He is actually sitting up where we're broadcasting from, further down. He's got a laptop up there. And so, Seth, I want you to talk about what you do during the games in the first half and then at halftime.
Yeah,
tell us about that.
For sure. So in the first half, usually I sit like at a bird's eye view, and I have a software where it basically has a camera and it follows the game. And then when there's moments that we need to make tactical adjustments, I tag those moments and we go over them at halftime. Now, it's funny that you say I have a laptop. This year we've had to be super creative in the way we've done it because some of these away teams, they don't really provide a lot of the stuff that you need. So I've been doing things where I've actually been tagging on my cell phone and then virtually saying it to an assistant back home who's sending things to me. We've done all kinds of really creative things.
I wasn't not aware of that.
It's actually a little bit more stressful than you think sometimes. It's crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of gamesmanship in the SEC as far as the way technology doesn't work sometimes.
So you get this information during the first half, and then what do you share with the team? What's the purpose of what you're gathering? What are you gathering, and what's the purpose of what you're gathering?
Usually it's to show the good things and the bad things. So like if we're playing a team and they're doing something over and over again, like they're finding their center mid and we're not being able to defend it, we'll show that on film a couple times during half. Hey, this is what they're doing. Can we make the adjustment to do that? And then if we do a few good things, I'll show those clips again to reinforce the good things. I'm like, hey, our wingers are getting wide. This is good. And we show that a few times. And, of course, my favorite thing to show are when we score some goals, at halftime.
Absolutely.
So you were talking earlier about how, in the first half on Sunday, we weren't very good. But in the second half, we were much better. And, Oklahoma, we weren't very good in the first half. But in the second half, we were much better. And you can look at that in several of our games. Well, a lot of times, the halftime adjustments that are made oftentimes are made because Seth is able to kind of bring a lot of these ideas and pictures, moving pictures, back to the team, and now this generation is very visual, so they have the ideas and they can see what we're talking about, and we can put these ideas in front of them. And they can make the adjustments based on what Seth is able to bring back to them. So it's a huge improvement that we're able to bring back to the team because of these little things that he's able to tag and then present to the players at halftime.
So where does is it the SEC broadcast that you're looking at, or
no?
Are there a different set of cameras? Talk about that.
Good
a little
question.
bit.
So every team in the SEC has to have this software called Speedio.
Okay.
And it's basically a software that follows the game, follows the ball. It's like a digital software.
So it's required of each team.
Yeah.
How
So
about the conference?
there's fixed cameras in the stadium. So at Ellis Field, our fixed cameras are at the top of the center light pole.
Okay.
Which is like eye in the sky, basically. And at different stadiums, they're at different heights.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to make
No,
sure.
you're good. And then usually what I do is a couple days before we go, I'll start contacting their staff, be like, hey, I need access to your Speedio camera, and everybody has to share. It's kind of a conference rule. And they give me access, and I usually look during the game, like the first hour when they're warming up, I'm looking in the stands for a spot that I can post up at. And then I'm also like, is there a Wi-Fi signal? I'm always like pivoting. I'm like, all right, there's no Wi-Fi signal. All right, I'm going to use my cellular signal. Are we doing this one on my computer? Is this one on my iPad? Is this one on my phone? Like, there's a million things you're thinking about. And then the last game we did, they had no Wi-Fi signal, and we were under some bleachers. So I had to, this is some nerdy talk, everybody, but I had to put a USB-C in the bottom of my phone, which went to an HDMI cord, and we were actually watching the tags I did off my cell phone that was projecting onto a projector, which was just, we make it work sometimes. Ideally, it would be plugging into a computer and doing it that way, but last game it was my cell phone plugged into an HDMI projecting on a wall underneath some bleachers.
Under the bleachers, because that's what Texas gave us. We had like
so
rinky-dink operation.
Yeah, so here was just, by the way, here was the locker room, quote unquote, setup, at this multi-gazillion dollar university. They had the Aggies underneath the bleachers, and to make it private, it was these curtains that you see at a convention, were about 6 or 7 foot tall, with the black curtains hanging down. That was the walls, and then the restroom facilities. This is great. This is very great of them. They put 3 porta potties right outside, but they did have a sign on each one of them that says "Reserved for Texas A&M Soccer." So I'm not kidding you. That's
only the best. Only the best.
So I didn't mean to get away from that. I just want to give people
we made it work.
A sense of what you were dealing with over there. Yeah. And so when you say you tag it, okay, so basically you're kind of electronically putting a mark that you can go back and
for sure
reference. Is that what you mean?
I don't know how nerdy you want me to get, but basically I make a tag panel before the game that says like good build up, or if they do something that's hurting us, I'm like, hey, I have one tag that says like the team that we're playing hurting us. And what I do is I have this thing called a presentation, and I tag it, and then I add it to the presentation, and we name it something. So when I'm going at halftime, I'm like, okay, that's why I tagged it, and it kind of reinforces it or jars my memory of everything. So like we build tag panels that have like different moments that could happen in the game, and you tag it. Okay, the defense just played the forwards. I have a tag for that, so I hit the tag. And then you have a compile, and I usually pick about 9 or 10 of the best ones, and we make a presentation for halftime. And usually I get somebody to help me do it because it's tough when you're doing it alone. Because if you're looking down to do it, you're missing the game. So,
that's what I was going to say. Because you're under there's a lot of pressure involved because that play happens once.
Yep.
Okay, and you've got to get it or you don't have it. Period.
Yep. I've had some really good people that like just have volunteered to help me. And what I've done when I've been remote is I wear like headphones and I'm on my cell phone with them while I'm tagging the game. So I'm like, hey, I just tagged this moment. I need you to add it to the presentation so I can more watch the game, especially when I'm on like a cell signal, not a Wi-Fi. So I'm like, I need you to put this in the presentation and make sure you get this. And they just do that for me while I'm like doing the soccer part.
Yeah. And then you've got to leave wherever you are a few minutes early to hustle down to the locker room so you can be in there at halftime to show what it is you have just captured, right?
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Yes.
So during the week, obviously you're...
And so all this he had to figure out because when we're just depending on the other team to provide Wi-Fi, sometimes they forget.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, sometimes they just forget that it's ironic how they forget when we come to town.
We learned a lot last year, and I was like, okay, this is the things that I probably need this year to make it work because some people don't come through for you.
Well, that having been at these stadiums sometimes more than once, you start to learn. Like, for example, this happens in the radio end of things, same thing. Mississippi State was wonderful. It's one of the best lines I've ever heard. So we asked them if they had Ethernet because that's the best way to get the radio signal back to the station, Ethernet. So it's very dependable. So I called them and said, you guys have Ethernet? Yes, we do. In the press box, you'll have Ethernet. Great. So I go over there. They have Ethernet. They got me a cable. The deal was that the Ethernet did not work, and they hadn't tested it, and it's been about 18 months. And they goes, well, we didn't. No, it worked the last time we used it. When was that? It was a year and a half ago, I think.
Yep.
So
sounds all right.
Does your dog bite? That's not my dog.
That's not my dog. That's right. So during the week, what are you doing there? And let's talk about the set piece deal, by the way. That's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like we're just kind of scratching the surface. We're starting off with some just like basic different formations and corner kicks that we're doing right now just to get the girls in spots that we want them to win the ball. Now, in my mind, I have like 15 I want to try, but we're starting really simple. So we have like 3 or 4 that we're cycling through right now. And then if we notice something from an opponent before we go into the game, we might adjust something to just, make it a little trickier, kind of like a trick play. But yeah, so far so good this season. I think we have had 3 goals on corners. In my personal opinion, I think we should have 10. But
right.
But hey, we've had 3 so far, and 2 of which have been game winners. So those are big deals.
Yeah, because we thought we saw last year that had we scored on 4 or 5 different corner kicks throughout the season, then our placement in the NCAA tournament would have been
completely changed,
much different. We wouldn't have had to go to Tallahassee so early,
right?
And you never know what it would have, how the season would have gone. Well, so set pieces and restarts are a big opportunity to change the complexion of a game, change the complexion of a season. So this is something that we have to do a little bit better job with. You can always do better. So it's something that that Seth's done a great job with.
Thanks. So they're different. They're like 3 or 4 different. Let's take a corner kick. There's 3 or 4 different, I don't know, for lack of a better word, formations, plays, whatever you want to call it. And not without giving them away, just you got there's OG, there's chaos, there's something else.
Good memory, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm paying attention.
Yeah, firework,
yeah, and something else. So who do you signal it in? Does Coach G or Phil, or how do they get the word in that what you want to do?
Usually, if it's the first one of the game and I see something, oh, this team's defending it a certain way, I will be like, do this one absolutely on the first one. Okay. But after that, I say, because they are pretty simple to do and they all kind of give you a similar look, I tell the girls, I usually tell CC, I'm like, hey, just make sure we're in the formation and you can choose on the field which makes sense. Every once in a while, like there was a couple games ago where we noticed the keeper wasn't like coming off her line. I'll scream something because I see something, but usually they do a really good job of choosing once the game's kind of going.
So and you find that with success, they'll buy into it, and so they've seen success now, and so the players now have bought in.
So second half, you're more or less down on the field, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, what is your specific responsibility when you're on the sideline for the second half?
I'm just screaming. I'm just encouraging. Like, it's probably good that I'm a little detached the first half because I get pretty emotional when, like, especially when we're in the lead, like the Missouri game. I remember being on the sideline, like when we took that 1-goal lead. I was like, just win this game, But I'm just trying to do different things. And usually I'm talking like to more of the offensive players. Like that's part of what I do also at Lissa and I. So like I'm trying to help the offense a little bit more as well.
Well, this is a guy, if you want to know about Texas A&M soccer from a tactical point of view, we got great resources on the staff. Between Seth and Phil Stevenson and, of course, Coach G and Alyssa Motts, these people know what they're doing. And I always enjoy talking to Seth about this kind of stuff because I'm kind of a data geek myself. And so it's a lot of fun. And we appreciate it. I know you've got a family at home and all that good stuff, and I appreciate you coming by and taking time to visit with us. All right, that's Seth Taylor, ladies and gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have a sprint to the finish here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, G. We'll be right back right after this. This is the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. All righty, we are back at Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. It's the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. First of all, thanks to everybody for coming out. Appreciate it very, very much. And before I forget, because we're going to get crowded for time, I want to thank Reese and Kate as well as Seth for coming out. These people have to come out. Their day's over, but they nonetheless come out here, and we're very, very grateful for it, and they all do. They do a fantastic job. All right, we had a couple of questions that I haven't asked you yet, and then we're going to talk about Ole Miss, and then we're going to talk about the next home game, Vanderbilt, because there are a ton of promotions coming up for that. All right. So Sunday, the Texas keeper almost carried the ball out of the penalty area. Mm-hmm. Okay, she kind of ran up the line. She almost went over it, had the ball in her hands. What would have been the call had that occurred?
Well, it just would have been a handball outside the box. So it would have been just like a regular field player handling the ball outside the box. It would have been a free kick for us, just outside the penalty area, and direct free kick. So, just like anything. And would she have gotten a yellow card for a quote intentional handball? Up to the referee, doubtful. But we would have gotten a free kick, and they would have set up a wall, 10 yards away, and Sydney Becerra or Leah Pirro would have stepped up to probably bend it over the wall and into the goal. But
gotcha.
We didn't get that chance.
Okay. Then also. We had a player get a red card as a result of getting 2 yellows in the same game. I thought the second yellow was very, very soft, but just my opinion. Anyway, not that it matters. But So what does that mean? I mean, for future games, you have to sit out the next game.
Correct. So she sat out the Texas game on Sunday.
Right. And then so what does that do? There's the other red card you can get is for accumulating too many yellows.
Correct.
Right? We had that happen to one of our players in an NCAA playoff game. That was against Florida State. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there was also Barb Oliveri had to sit out a game in the spring of 21 because she had 5 accumulated cards, if you remember that. And then we lost to Rice. Anyway, but so because Bella sat out the game on Sunday, she has served her penalty, and so she's fine.
Okay, so that's clean slate.
Yeah, she has been expunged. So she has moved on.
Served her time off of probation.
That's right.
Doesn't have to go to a halfway house or anything
No,
like that.
she has. The letter has been sent to the commissioner.
Okay. All right. What can you tell us about Ole Miss? We're going to play them, by the way, Friday again, 7:00.
They are they're a team that they've struggled in the league because it's a darn good league. But they're a team that has played everybody tough, and they've played everybody up until this last game. They played everybody within 1 goal. So they lost 1-0 to Texas. They lost by a goal to everyone else. And the deal is that they've got an excellent goalkeeper, international from Japan, Shu Oba, who is a big-time goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in the country. She played for Japan in the Olympics. And, she's somebody who's an outstanding shot stopper. She's great in crosses, which she kind of follows in the same, in the limelight of, past Ole Miss goalkeepers who have been excellent.
Yeah.
And Rob Thompson, who's the goalkeeper coach there, has done a great job there in the past. Couple explosive goal scorers for them. It did great in the non-conference. They just haven't kind of gotten off of on track scoring. But, Kelly Brady, who has good change of pace up front for them, does a good job. And then they've got some other players who are kind of tricky. Lauren Montgomery plays out of the midfield, a good one-on-one player. But they're a team that has been really hard to break down for a lot of teams in the league, and they're a tricky team, especially at home. So they're one of those teams that we need to go in and beat. Their RPI isn't great, but they're an SEC team, so we've got to go in and not worry about anything but just us taking care of business and knowing that they're filled with SEC athletes and they're good enough to beat us if we don't play our best.
Absolutely. That's we've talked about this before, and we mentioned it last week. The difference between the very top and the very bottom of the SEC.
It's not much.
It is not much.
No.
It is not much, and that's what makes it one of probably the strongest conference in the country. All right, I had a question. Just handed up here. Kind of goes back to Kate. She got a yellow card a couple of games ago, interfering with the goalkeeper, which was kind of
it's kind of a mind games thing. Yeah. So she was yellow carded for the referee was she was basically the goalkeeper for Oklahoma can hit the ball about 70 yards.
Right.
And so all we were trying to do was just make the goalkeeper think about Kate a little bit instead of just being able to concentrate on the ball and maybe hit the ball maybe 60 yards instead of 70 yards.
Right.
And so Kate was just doing a little dance with her. And so the referee was, didn't want Kate to mess with her, but Kate was not inside the penalty area. Kate was outside the penalty area. And so anytime the goalkeeper would step up to hit it, Kate would kind of jog along with her. And the referee was like, "Hey, you can't do that." And Kate was like, "Well, I'm not inside the penalty area."
Right.
And so he's like, "Well, don't do that." She's like, "Well, I'm not in the penalty area." Well, it's like you can't tell that to the authority figure. And
right. They don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't mess with the law. Don't the law wins. So that's what happened.
Right. That's exactly right.
So
the law won.
That's how it went.
All righty. Gosh, time is getting away from us. All right, so I want to remind everybody, game 7 o'clock on Friday night. It's on the SEC Plus network, but turn them down. You can listen to us. We know the players, and we know a little bit about what the Aggies are doing. So we'll be on pregame show 6:45, 97.3 here in the Brazos Valley. Anywhere else on the planet, you can get us through your radio, the Radio Aggieland, radioaggieland.com on the web, or your 12th Man mobile app. Again, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock game time, and then the next home game is a week from this coming Thursday against Vanderbilt. And I'm just going to mention these because you need to go ahead and play. It's going to be Faculty Staff Appreciation Night. They get 2 free tickets. It's $5 beer night for fans 21 or older. You can there's going to have special beer offerings there. It's a Junior Aggie Club game, and it's a 12-man rewards double point event. That's all
Thursday night
against the Vandy Commodores. And that's the next game. All right, that's going to about do it for us here. The Aggie Soccer Hour, if I can find where my...
you have something to read somewhere.
I do. And here it is, right here.
There you go.
I got it. I need to remind you that this copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield IMG College under broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield IMG College. Announcers are provided by Learfield IMG College and Texas A&M University. That's going to about do it for us.
Thanks, everybody.
For G Guerrieri, I'm David Ellis. See you next week, everybody, and gig 'em.